Is it okay for me to wear my shoes in here?
I don't give a shit.
It's showtime.
Finish starters all day, king of hearts, we don't play. I will show no remorse if you bring a traitor my way. If you're crossing my land, better understand you ain't safe.
Good evening, nomads, party people, and strangers everywhere across the internet. My name is V, and to kick off stuff, we're now finally delving into Netflix month, where I'm giving you guys the 100% review of Devilman Crybaby. Now, the only reason I'm going to be trying to do this with just mostly my face on camera is because, one, a lot of the stuff in this anime I do not have time to black box, nor do I have time to censor everything other than my own goddamn mouth. And the second reason I'm doing this is because, well, it's a lot faster to try and cover stuff this way. So, trying to go at 100%. With this being the 50th anniversary from Go Nagai, creator of stuff like Devilman, as well as something as more violent as Violence Jack, which is much more traumatizing if you want to have a bad time, Devilman follows the story of Akira Fudo and his friend of Ryo Asuka as they're going to a club called Sabbath in order to try and uncover the secrets of demons among humans. Doing so, with Akira at Sabbath, he's then possessed by the greatest upon all of the demons known as Amon. And with his power, as well as keeping his human heart, he is now deemed as the once and all-time defender of Devilman. However, in this interpretation, it's a little bit more complex than usual. See, from the original OVAs and the original anime from the 1970s, we have a story of Akira kind of diverging away from the manga in the original anime, but going in the same vein as the OVA is where he has a happier life fighting alongside all of his friends and defeating the all-time villain of the series, which turns out to be none other than Satan, because of course. But because of that, a lot of people felt a little bit jaded because Go Nagai went so much darker in the manga, which kind of goes into ways where it is now in the new adaptation in the 50th anniversary, where it's taking a much more modern light, with Ryo Asuka trying to use stuff of video footage to try and make sure it leads to mass hysteria for all the people involved around the globe. Many different people that are introduced to be now new Devilmen into the series, as well as a new plot thread about how the romance stuff goes by. And let's not forget my favorite addition.
Yeah. なあ聞いたかいるらしいぜ悪魔がそれもそこら中いるみたいで悪魔が
Which kind of goes into a much more depressing story in the light of everything because of now using social media as well as a huger, much more vastly superior network of people to reach out to. It leads into a much more destructive outcome than anyone could have imagined in the original manga or in the original OVAs or anime in general. And the reason I'm talking about this so fast is because, well, I'm kind of trying to gloss over a lot of the bad stuff, which we'll be going into as of right now. So, from all the stuff I can show you guys from the anime, which is very limited, we've covered in the 50% review that the animation quality for myself was not the greatest because of it trying to use advanced rotoscope. Shh. Hey, past me. Yeah, it wasn't rotoscope. We got played by Warren again, so we're just gonna keep the review going. Yeah. Which kind of falls short when you're trying to translate how humans interact and how demon-possessed humans interact on a grander scale. Like, take note from how we have the one scene of them having humans run, and then, obviously, now possessed Akira starting to run like a pure-blooded demon / Devilman. The contrast is kind of ridiculous, giving ragdoll physics, as well as giving the whole thing of let's not care how we're making our characters look because who gives a true fuck? And it kind of diverts into why people actually care about the show because we wanted actual fluidity to tell us a much grander story than how Go Nagai and all the other production people wanted to do back in the 1970s, as well as other interpretations from Devilman itself. While also excluding Devil Lady, because Devil Lady was a terrible manga.
You!
Moving on from that, though, we also have to talk about the most controversial stuff that is now being shown in its entirety from stuff that wasn't really that shown from the OVAs and whatnot because they were trying to blur it out for the sake of humanity's sake. Which is, of course, episode 9.
Sir not appearing in this film.
But yes, episode 9, we're going to the controversial death of Akira Fudo's childhood friend slash love interest throughout the entire series in the manga and in the OVAs, and in this 50th edition where they showed nearly everything. Like, they don't show the brutal stuff they do to the body afterwards, but they do show putting her head and her torso and legs all on sticks while dancing around fire, but with the addition of also using fellow Devilman that's been in the series and the rap group, except for the beatboxer because he turned traitor, all in the same vein of trying to be like humanity is just so fucking stupid if you just put danger in their faces. Which then goes into the, I guess, newer ending that episode 10 gives us from this 10 episode run, where it ends with Akira losing to Satan because, of course, Satan's gonna fucking win in a series called Devilman. I mean, it's a devil versus the king of all bullshit lies and obviously hates his own existence. To then just have him lying, basically a dead corpse, on the shore, very Neon Genesis Evangelion-like, with Satan trying to talk poetic to him, but forgetting that, oh shit, he has no lower body after that climactic fight that we had that was much more epic if we had a better budget around how to do stuff. Just still laying there, him dying slowly, talking poetics, and then all of a sudden God's just like,
You know what? I'm done. Let's just destroy this shit right now. Fuck everything. And now we have 2 moons and I'm gonna make a new Earth. Have fun with that new continuity there, kids.
So, in that whole vein, you're probably wondering from all the stuff I've probably glossed over from you guys about what happens in the middle of the anime. That's because, although I'm spoiling how the stuff ends and how it begins, the middle is kind of where the huge meat comes into the story about how character motivations as well as actions come to play, about how stuff happens as well as the true identity of what Satan truly is in the series. I'm leaving out a lot of stuff for you guys because I'm still keeping my no spoiler rules, even though I'm talking super fast. So, from all the stuff I am keeping from you and all the stuff I can talk to you guys about, I'm trying to at least divulge to you guys that the series itself, even 50 years later, is just as powerful and poetic as Go Nagai tried to do, even though it was basically a middle finger to people saying, you can't make such dark stuff, think about the children.
Oh, think about the children, you say? Hold my beer while I finish the rest of this.
And basically made the greatest middle finger to humanity ever possible, except for the fact that I've known a lot of people that have said that they read this at Satanist parties, which makes this kind of have a bad taste in my mouth, because then it involves religion. Still though, from all that sort of stuff, what can I even say about Devilman Crybaby now that I've gone into as much as I can from the 100% review? Well, let's first just cut from the exact same cloth the stuff of story, animation, music, as well as the finale. From the story itself, trying to make sure it goes in the same exact lines from all the stuff Devilman has built itself up to. It is, well, to put it frankly, it's not that shocking of a tale. From beginning to end, it was basically what happens when a Faustian contract with someone, whether it's forced upon you or not, ends up going horribly, horribly wrong, as well as what the after effects are once you've made this deal. Because of this, Akira's whole finale of dying at the end was pretty much signed the moment he decided to do this whole journey. If you listen to other people that talk about all these things religiously, like Corey X Kenshin, who's a huge Christian. I'm not trying to hate on his Christianity. I'm just saying he's a Christian. Anyone that makes a deal with the devil oftentimes ends up in very dire consequences that either leads to death or trying to fix your own mistakes, which leads into even bigger consequences that lead into much bigger problems. With that same vein, there's also stuff like Dante's Inferno, where Satan tried to point out all the flaws that Dante had involving trying to get back with Beatrice. I'm talking about the video game, obviously, not the books, that lead into a much sadder conclusion to where it leads into Purgatory, aka Purgadesio. All of which kind of culminate into what makes this story not as shocking as many people say, but only has shocking moments of stuff like child killing, various brutal murders, how humanity is literally depicted to be nothing but sheep, which is kind of true in today's light, since we are literally living in a day and age where people are nothing more than sheep that only gravitate to the most darkest of ambitions and impulses to make sure it makes the world a much darker and much more crueler place than it should be. Along those same lines, it also kind of touches upon what makes a human, whether it's something of a darker impulse still within us but we control it, what we're trying to do to eliminate our own jealousies, how we're supposed to express our own loves, all these sort of things just to illustrate how you can be human despite all the hardships that you've had to overcome, as well as what our emotions to what we can feel and what we cannot feel. Seeing as how the only addition to why this is called Crybaby is because, for some odd reason that I'm only assuming is because Akira is an empath that only feels what other people are hiding, Akira cries for people that are sad. He never cries for himself, he only cries for others. It's weird. From that note, we're gonna then move from that piece of the cloth all the way to animation, which, if you guys have already heard me before, I'm not a huge fan of. I mean, sure, there are moments where the characters look amazingly accurate to what they're supposed to be in the mangas, if they're trying to be new modernized, as well as how they're supposed to look now in this whole new fashion I'm not opposed to. I can get with that. But then there are moments where I'm like, the animation quality could have been so much better, especially since it had small nods to having CGI, which I was hoping for like CGI demon on demon fights, because I used to remember reading the manga, and when I saw what CGI could do, I was like, awesome! I wonder what would happen if Amon was fighting Celine in CGI. And I was heavily disappointed in multiple ways. Also, I'm kind of glossing over who Celine is, so I have you guys going like, who are all these characters, V? And I'm like, shh, watch the damn show. So, yeah, in essence, the animation could have been a lot better, even though a lot of people love Rotoscope and love this anime to death. I just wish that the animation quality was a lot better and wasn't as hard to swallow, as it were. So going from that piece of cloth, we're now moving into the music, where as much as I tried my best to find out who arranged the music, I tried my best. I had no idea who was the musical composer, who arranged the soundtrack. I couldn't find any of those notes. Anyone can help me find out that stuff? Let me know in the comments below. But from what I have heard and what I have tried to discern, they had a good blend of what was the traditional stuff that you put in animes, as well as techno, as well as instrumenting actual Japanese rappers and Japanese beatboxers to come into the show, giving it a massively very beautiful blend here and there that just screams, ooh, that's beautiful music gumbo right there, baby. Give me more of that techno for the club scenes. Give me more of those very bombastic rap beats when it comes to the rap group that comes in and out of the story. Ooh, let's get some more of that tranquil kind of sad vibe for the sad stories. It gives off that nice appeal of they knew what they were making, they knew exactly how they're gonna make it, and then they just completely went balls to the wall, we're gonna make this beautiful type soundtrack. I enjoyed it to a T. And now from that piece of the cloth, we're now moving back into the finale, which I already told you. Satan wins! Yay! But God decides to end it all because he finds this whole ending to be bullshit. Yay! And because of that, God is then just like, let's have another Earth with 2 moons. Yay? And it's kind of ending on an ambiguous note as to whether or not it's going to be a new continuity, whether it's going to be, oh, this is going to take place in the 1970s something adaptation where it's Akira and Rio trying to now fight the Devilman, but now it's also with the crossovers with Cyborg 009 because they're in the same exact goddamn universe, but no one ever mentions that in Devilman Crybaby, even though that's kind of an obvious thing. Oh my god, this is kind of now stupid when I think about it out loud. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that ran into my head after trying to watch this 5 different ways to Sunday in order to make this review possible. But all joking aside, the ending was kind of good, if not too ambiguous. Now let me explain why I say too ambiguous, because there are many people that try to explain this ending, but I've never been satisfied with their conclusion because I don't think that even Go Nagai wants us to know what the true ending is. When you have a full-blown climactic war of devilmen versus demons and devils and Satan trying to make sure that all of humanity has another day to live, even if it's just going to be one last human being living on the planet. That whole finale of God raining down to destroy all the remnants of the demons and devils and devilmen that, even though they fought valiantly for him, did die in vain against Satan's army, to then cleanse it to have a new start for everyone, to have a much more beautiful beginning to life with just now the addition of 2 moons. It's never really clear as to whether or not that was the true intention, whether or not that's supposed to be a new timeline, whether or not that's supposed to be a new branch of what we're supposed to analyze and then accept as our new reality. It's only stated as if it's a possibility towards a brand new story for whatever someone wants to interpret. So in that same vein, Go Nagai, my only question is, what the fuck were you doing, and what kind of drugs were you on? And also, if that was weed, are you sharing? So from all 4 of those perspectives going back into play about the overall stuff of enjoyment, as well as my own time spent on this series, as well as all the stuff I'm glancing over to keep you guys wondering about what you should be doing because you should be watching this fucking anime, I will be saying that although a lot of people have praised this show from the likes of Giguk, from Aki Dearest, from PewDiePie, from a lot of different anime tubers. Me, I'm not an anime critic. I'm just a critic overall because I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. So, in my own opinion, because I did enjoy Devilman from the mangas as well as the OVAs, I'm not going to say this is the greatest anime of the year. Instead, I'm just going to say that it's a step forward for stories that can be gritty, can be dark, but also can be hopeful, as well as showing to the world that you can take the darkest of animes and mangas and literally show to the many fans that really wanted a show like this, despite that joke of there only being 2, yeah, I heard that, Garrett, wanting to see this adaptation, you end up with a pretty prevalent show that really shouldn't be overlooked just because it's not the greatest thing of all time. It showed how it can take modernization stuff as well as Easter eggs littered throughout the entire series, even the original anime adaptation on a TV with the theme song on the television, for God's sake, to mostly paint that this can be a good property. This can be a show that people will fall in love with. This can be a property anyone can make solid gold if done right. Does that make all the stuff I've said as the problem be excusable? Fuck no. They need to fix a lot of stuff with this, as well as clear up a lot of different stuff I have glossed over to make it a much better story, but it was a fantastic ride nonetheless, and I recommend all people to watch this if they're over the age of 18, obviously, because there are a lot of stuff that I am not comfortable hearing from parents saying, why did you endorse this for my child? To which point I'll be like, what was your child doing watching this review in the first place? For alternate recommendations, I point you guys to at least 2 animes and 2 mangas. 2 animes I will recommend for you guys is the original Fist of the North Star, as well as the original take on Berserk. Those 2 being older animes, but also being just as grim and gritty and dark because they kind of cover a lot of heavy topics. But they do kind of fill the void of if you want bombastic actions from older stories that tell it to you in a much more gritty and unforgiving light. And the 2 mangas I'll be recommending for you guys, although I don't know all the details because I'm just reading them myself, are Vagabond and Vinland Saga. Both of which are historical pieces that cover a lot of stuff with fictionalized characters as well as fictionalized actions to lead into said historical actions, but overall just as compelling, just as beautiful, but also just as grimdark if you still want a gritty, sort of bloodlusty story. So with that being settled, guys, that's the kickoff for Netflix month, but if you excuse me, I need to go to the bar real quick. I will see you guys in my next review, where we're gonna go to the end.